Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your weekend are going very well so far. The NFL Week 17 is officially here, and with that comes another edition of Sunday Night Football. Got a really big matchup here between the Atlanta Falcons and the Washington Commanders, and I have some picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. With a new day and a new week comes some new opportunities to go ahead and make some money. Got a really big matchup here, guys, between the Falcons and the Commanders. Massive playoff implications at stake in this game. Two teams that, if the season ended today, would be in the playoffs. Going to be a really fun, really intense battle here, so I'm really looking forward to this Sunday Night Football matchup. And right off the top, I do apologize if I sound a little sick. I am actually a little sick, a little under the weather, so I apologize if my voice sounds a little nasally, if I have to stop at some point to cough randomly. I do apologize for that. All right, before we dive into the picks, let's do a quick little breakdown of this matchup, of this game. Gonna jump over to the NFL dashboard. Guys, if you don't know what this is our Guy Boston Sports community dashboard that Ev updates every week. Almost daily, I would say. He grabs a bunch of data, a bunch of input from places like Outline and other sources, and puts them all into one easy and convenient dashboard. You do have to be a member of Guy Boston Sports, the community, to access this dashboard, but it's a pretty low payment, I'm pretty sure. It's only a couple bucks a month. The link down below with all the information and how to sign up is down below in the description. All right, guys, so we have the 10-5 Washington Commanders hosting the 8-7 Atlanta Falcons. Now, right off the top, both of these teams have been very surprising this year for each their own individual way. On the side of the Commanders, they've been surprising in the fact that they're even a playoff team. This is a Washington that was one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. You know, they drafted Jaden Daniels. They have a little bit of a rebuild, new coaching staff, new regime, and they came in. They're a 10-win team coming into this game. They've had a really impressive season. Jaden Daniels looks like the front runner for the Rookie of the Year award, and maybe even the best quarterback in this class, although Drake May has had a pretty good case against him. Jaden Daniels looks incredible. They have their franchise quarterback for the future. Washington has been very impressive. Their offense has been insane this year. The fourth best scoring offense in the NFL this year, averaging almost 29 points per game this season. Really solid team across the board offensively. Defensively, the numbers don't look as bad, but I can promise you this defensive team is not very good, specifically against the run. They really struggle with their run defense. But overall, the Commanders have been a fun story, a fun team to follow all season long. They have fallen off a little bit over the past month or two, but still, in general, this is a really surprising team this year. The Falcons have also been a bit of a surprise, but not for the good reason like the Commanders have. This is an Atlanta team that had a lot of expectations coming this year. They go ahead, they sign Kirk Cousins, they make that big deal. This is a loaded offense. They go ahead and they trade for Matthew Judon from New England. You know, they have these defensive pieces. Everyone, including myself, thought Atlanta was going to be something special, and they really weren't. Not only were they not special, but Kirk Cousins got so bad towards the end. They literally benched him, and now he's probably going to get cut in the offseason. Atlanta had a pretty decent start to the year, too, but they really fell off. They had like a 5 or 6 week stretch where Kirk Cousins looked like the worst quarterback in the NFL. They don't really do anything great, minus maybe their running game is pretty solid, but you see 20th in points per game this year, averaging 21.8 points per game this season. Defensively, not very good as well, 19th in points per game. If we go ahead and go down to the DVOA rankings to get a little more of a clearer look at both these teams from an analytics perspective. Looking at both offenses, Washington top 10 offense in the NFL in terms of DVOA rankings. Atlanta 19th, not very good, although you do see they are a top 10 running team in the NFL. Both these teams defensively are not all that great. Like I said with Washington, although at first glance the numbers might look okay, this is the 22nd team in the NFL in terms of pass DVOA and 25th in run DVOA, 21st overall. Atlanta, though, not much better. They actually are a slightly better run defense than Washington is, but pass defense-wise, they're actually a little bit worse. Neither of these teams are defensive juggernauts. Washington is an offensive juggernaut. Atlanta has the potential to be. They have a lot of weapons and whatnot, but overall, they've just kind of been a very uninspiring team this year. Now, the interesting thing coming into this matchup is they finally benched Kirk Cousins. Now they have rookie Michael Penix Jr., who did make his first career NFL start last week versus the Giants. He did okay, 18 for 27, 202 yards. He did throw an interception, however, that wasn't really an interception on him. More, it was Kyle Pitts kind of giving the ball away to the other team. So although it is an interception on the stat sheet, I don't really count that against him because that was just a horrible Kyle Pitts play. This is a pretty interesting matchup because of the fact that both these defenses are kind of bottom 10 defenses in the NFL, not very good, and both have solid offensive pieces. This does read like a really big offensive output game from both of these teams. The wild card factor here is the Michael Penix thing. We don't really know what to expect from him now. He's only had one career NFL start last week, and he looked halfway decent. I mean, it wasn't a great debut. It wasn't Jaden Daniels or Drake May's first game. But he looked okay. Again, 18 for 27, 202 yards. If you want to count the interception, you can count it, but I don't really look at that as a negative on his play. That wasn't a bad pass by him. A lot of unknowns. I think that's the big advantage Atlanta has in this game. Now, the spread for this game is 3.5 on the Commanders side of things. I'm actually, in today's video, not giving a pick on the spread. Instead, I'm going to kind of pull a page out of Ev's book and give you my lean. My lean is the Commanders. Now, I would recommend maybe knocking a half a point off, getting them at -3. And if we jump on over to Outlier, you can see you can get the spread for -3 at -126 on DraftKings, -130 ESPN Bet, -118 Bet365. So you can knock that half a point off and still get decent value on this play. Again, I'm not putting it on my official card, which may look like I'm wussing out of this pick. I just think this is going to be a coin flip game, and I'd rather not put it on my card if I don't really 100% believe in it. If I had to pick a side, I would pick Washington. They're the home team. They've been a better cover team at home. Overall, a 50% cover rate against the spread this year. 60%, excuse me, in 2024, 50% over the last 10 games. At this line of -3, does a 40% hit rate this season. Look at the last couple months, or the last month or two, not really good cover rates for Washington on this -3 line. They've only cashed the over in one of their last 6 games. They cashed the spread a -3 in one of their last 6 games. So, they haven't been on a great run here against the spread in general. Just 2 cashes against the spread over their last 6 games. So this has been a Washington that, again, has been trending in a little bit in the wrong direction. And although they have a clear matchup advantage here against that Commanders defense, like we said before, Washington offensively has been a juggernaut this year, the 3rd best run offense in the NFL, not college football. Sorry, I've been doing a lot of college football videos this week. The 3rd best rushing offense in the NFL, and it's the 11th ranked run defense. So Atlanta's run defense is a little bit better than their passing defense. Excuse me. Overall, you do see that Washington's offense has a clear advantage against this Falcons defense. And again, we go back to the DVOA rankings here. 5th best passing offense in terms of DVOA, 9th best run offense, going against the 24th pass defense in terms of DVOA, and the 16th run defense in terms of DVOA. They're also the home team, and at home this year, Washington has been a cover machine. You see a 66.7% win rate at home this year, 64.3% cover rate at home this year. So pretty good numbers for Washington. And actually, that's not even at home. That's their overall numbers this year. 66.7% win rate, 64.3% cover rate this year. At home, you see a 75% cover rate at home this year for the Washington Commanders. So, at home, overall, the numbers are green, but at home, they're even better. A 75% cover rate at home, opposed to a 64% cover rate overall on the season. So, again, my lean would be Washington here. I do think Atlanta's defense is a weak point for them. The one reason why I'm not taking it ultimately is just that Michael Penix factor, the wild card factor. There's not a lot of film to go off of. If you're a defensive coach game planning for this game, you kind of a wild card there with Michael Penix. You don't know what to expect with him. He's only had one NFL start. Other than that, you got to use either his college tape or preseason tape to kind of see what he can do. I think it's a scary thing in this game. He's such an unknown, and because of that unknown, I'm not willing to go ahead and take a side in the spot. So my lean is Commanders -3, but I'm not putting it on the official card. Instead, my first official play in this game is the over at 46.5, which we're getting for -108 odds on DraftKings. It's available on multiple sports books for varying odds. Like we've talked about already, both of these teams have defenses that, in terms of DVOA rankings, are bottom 10 in the NFL. They're not very good in any category. Again, some teams are stronger than one thing another. Than you look at the Falcons' 16th run defense. Okay, that's about middle of the road. Not awful, but in general, 24th defense from DVOA for Atlanta, 21st defense in terms of DVOA for Washington. And over the last 3 games, if we go ahead and narrow that down, it hasn't really gotten too much better for either side. Now, from a points per game perspective, you do see the numbers are a little bit better. However, in terms of Atlanta, for example, they only give up 7 points to the Giants, so they definitely help the numbers there. They help the data, but overall, you still see passing yards per game still bottom half of the league. Pass play percentage, bottom half. Red zone touchdown percentage, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Washington's defense actually has gotten a little bit better in each category, but if we look at who they've played over the last couple games, they played the Eagles without Jalen Hurts. They still give up 33 points in that game. Then they played the Titans and the Saints. So, yeah, their 3-game data looks a little bit better on paper, but take into perspective who they played, what those games were like. They played a horrible Titans team, a horrible Saints team, and then they played an Eagles team that, lost Jalen Hurts, had Kenny Pickett playing for a good chunk of that game, and they still give up 33 points in that spot. The over of 46.5 has cashed in 73% of the Commanders' games this year, opposed to just a 47% cover rate for Atlanta. But Atlanta, again, their cover rate hasn't been as high because of some of the teams they're playing. And we do see at home this season, the over has hit in 62.5% in Commanders' home games this season. So you do have that spot as well. The over tends to hit more often in these spots. If you look at the insight provided by Outlier, the over has hit in 4 of the Commanders' last 5 games at home. So you have that going for us as well. I know Washington will probably carry much of the heavy lifting here with the total. I think that Washington should be able to score at least 24 points in this game. And then at that point, we need Atlanta to contribute a little bit. But with Michael Penix, with all the weapons, with the weaknesses in the Commanders' defense, I think Bijan Robinson could have a big game. I think Michael Penix should have some success throwing the football in this spot. I think Washington will carry much of the heavy lifting with the scoring, but Atlanta should be able to score enough points to push this total where we need it to be. So I like the over as my first official play here at 46.5 points. My second play is actually be a player prop here. We're looking at Terry McLaurin over 65.5 rushing plus receiving yards for the for the Washington Commanders. Sorry, guys. Again, a little sick brain here. So Terry McLaurin over 65.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Like we already mentioned, guys, the Atlanta defense, they are bottom 10 in DVOA in terms of overall defense against passing yards. They are bottom 10. Rushing yards a little bit better. But this Falcons pass defense is just not very good. If we go back to actually to that dashboard screen, we do have a little chart here that Ev put in. We have DVOA adjusted defense versus position, where the higher number equals the weaker defense versus the position. And looking at Atlanta here, the weakest spot on their defense versus position is versus number one wide receiver. You see the number is 32 in the green. That means that wide receivers, number one wide receivers in particular, when playing Atlanta, their production increases by 32%. So we have a clear advantage there, and Terry McLaurin, of course, is the number one wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. Looking at the matchup versus wide receivers, you see rushing yards allowed versus receivers. The Commanders 19th in the NFL, a small number, 4.3. We don't see a lot of wide receivers running the football, but when they do against Washington, they have some success. Receiving yards allowed to wide receivers, they are 23rd in the NFL, give 155.2 receiving yards per game. So we got a solid matchup spot here for McLaurin. We're getting, by the way, from minus 115 here on DraftKings. He's cashed the over in 53% of his games this year, 8 out of 15 games, averaging 68.73 rushing plus receiving yards per game this season. If we go ahead and narrow it down to the last 10 games, you'll see a 60% hit rate, averaging 72.6 rushing plus receiving yards per game. We also have the insights provided by Outlier. Terry McLaurin has exceeded 66.5 rushing yards plus receiving yards in 6 of his last 7 games at home. He's averaging 97.9 rushing plus receiving yards per game over his last 7 home games. So the only time he missed it was that last home game last week against the Eagles, where he finished with 60 receiving yards, no rushing yards. But he's got really good data at home. This kind of adds up with the fact that Washington, they've been playing better at home. The overs hit at home. They're winning more at home. So it all kind of adds up that way. And we're getting at 65.5, by the way, so it looks even better for us. But yeah, really good data across the board. Playing at home only increases the chances of a hit here for Terry McLaurin. The data looks fantastic across the board. Love this prop. And then wrapping things up, guys, we have our anytime touchdown score player prop. Of course, if you watch my Sunday Football Picks videos, every week we do this where we go ahead and we pick a touchdown player. And if you comment the name of the player, whether it be his first name, his last name, or his whole name, nickname, whatever the case may be, comment a variation of the player's name down below. And if the touchdown player prop hits, one lucky comment to win a free $25 Amazon gift card. So really easy to do. If he scores a touchdown in this game, one guy could be a lucky, or a lady could be a lucky winner if they drop his name down below in the comments. So for this week, we're doing Terry McLaurin anytime touchdown. We're getting it for plus 110 on FanDuel. Again, it's not like it's a crazy high value play, but I think it's a safe play, and you're getting it for plus money as well if you're using on FanDuel. It's a pretty good spot here for McLaurin. Again, I don't have to keep repeating myself. I obviously have highlighted the fact that Atlanta, their pass defense is very atrocious versus number one wide receivers. They're having a lot of success playing this Falcons defense. Overall this year, the Falcons 15th in touchdowns allowed versus wide receivers, though. They are the 3rd worst team in the NFL in terms of touchdowns allowed to opposing wide receivers. They're giving up 1.3 touchdowns per game on average to wide receivers. So really good spot there. And then the overall data from McLaurin is really, really solid. A 53% hit rate on the year, 8 out of 15 games. He's cashed the over, averaging about 0.8 touchdowns per game. But if we go ahead and narrow it down just the last 5 games, you see an 80% hit rate for Terry McLaurin for his last 5 games, averaging 1.2 touchdowns per game, including 4 consecutive games. If we scroll down below to the targets, it all adds up. 98 targets this year for McLaurin, a 22.3% target share this season for him in this Commanders offense. In red zone targets, he is number 2 on the team with a 21.4% red zone target share. Only Zach Ertz gets more targets, but I do think McLaurin is the better matchup in this spot. Like I said, across the board, good matchup, solid overall data. He gets the usage rate, he gets the targets. It looks like a really, really good spot here for pretty decent value. So that's our final play in today's video. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed that breakdown of today's game and the picks that I provided. Please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Also, make sure to check the link down below in the description to the Fade Me store. We're doing an end of the year sale, a ton of great stuff. I got the Guy Boston rope hat on. I got the Make Money on a Sunday shirt, which this shirt is Pretty freaking awesome. Got the helmet with the dollar bills on it. Love this stuff. All this great merch and more is on sale right now, so go ahead and check that out. Link in the description down below. We'll be back next week. We got another Sunday football matchup. We don't know what it is right now. It's going to be flexing depending on today. We could end up getting Lions-Vikings potentially. We'll see how that all plays out. But, guys, really excited for the next couple weeks with the playoffs coming, with these kind of playoff scenarios over the next couple weeks. A lot of great action, including tonight's game. Make sure you enjoy it. Until next time, hope you're all winners. Enjoy your Sunday.